Good morning and welcome to another edition of our journey to debt freedom. I am Sheila Wilkinson-Sanders, and today we are going to continue on our journey. You know, I mentioned that it is Financial Literacy Month, and in our last edition we talked about credit cards and getting your credit in order. And so, as we move forward in this Financial Literacy Month and in Money Smart Week, I want to talk to you about something that's very, very serious that everyone should take very, very seriously, and that's fraud and credit card and personal information theft. Now, you're probably wondering, why is she in the alley? Well, the reason I'm in the alley is because where most of your theft starts is right in your backyard. That's true, it's right in your backyard. And when I say right in your backyard, a lot of times it's right in your house. So we're going to talk a lot today about those types of things. Now, one of the things that everyone should have in their house is a shredder. We have multiple shredders in our house. Everyone has one in their bedroom. Even my 94-year-old dad has one right by his chair. So we shred anything that has our name on it, anything that has our address on it, it goes in the shredder. I'll tell you about a story about a neighbor over here. When he first moved into the neighborhood, one day I was coming out of the garage and he said, excuse me, someone put in your house, put their garbage in my garbage can. Okay, so the first question is, how do you know that? He said, well, I looked in the garbage can and I saw a bag from your house. And so I said, okay, I'm going to get past that. And so how did you know that? He said, well, I opened it up and I looked inside and I saw something with your daughter's names on it. Really? But people do this all the time. Now, he just was crazy. I still, to this day, we don't speak because of many other things that have happened over the years. But there are people who do this intentionally to get your information. So you need to be very, very careful about what you put in the garbage. I know this sounds crazy, but that's one of the places that you need to protect very, very carefully is your garbage can. So shred everything. If you have old credit cards that have expired, shred them, cut them into little teeny tiny pieces because people can get information from them. Hotel key cards. Now, I don't know if this is true or not, but I never ever leave a hotel key card at the hotel because I'm told on that little black strip is a lot of your personal information. So I always take those hotel key cards, bring them home, and I shred them into little tiny pieces and dispose of them. So those are some things. So we talk about around the house. Most people that have identity theft, when they look on their credit card statements or when they look on their credit report, many times people that come to me and their credit score has gone down or they find things on their credit report, many times, I can't tell you how many times, they find out that it's a family member. So what happens? I'll give you an example. My oldest daughter doesn't live with me anymore, but I still get mail of hers. Now, fortunately, my kids have honest mom. And so I just put it by the door. We have like a little system where we put folks' mail. But make sure when you move that you update your addresses. My youngest daughter and I have a couple of accounts at the same institutions, and so sometimes I'm just opening mail, I'm not looking, and I'll open up her mail. Now, I'm always honest and go to her and say, oh, I did it again, I'm sorry, I forgot. But a lot of times people open it up by accident and they say, oh, a new credit card, I got this item I want to get, I'll pay them back. And then they forget to pay you back. Family members and friends are usually the first ones. I've had cases where people have had children who have the same name and they have identity and things show up on their credit that are actually their child's credit. Same thing where, I've had a situation where a client, their parents had the same name. All of a sudden this stuff is on their credit. So you have to make sure that you check those things. And a lot of times, unfortunately, it's your family. So let's talk about the house. Let's keep it around the house. Mail. Make sure that your mail is protected. My mail comes into my house, but don't let mail sit out. People can get your information. Credit card bills, credit cards, they're very easy to detect. And so people will take those credit cards when they see them in the mail. So, make sure that you know the time that your mail comes and that you get the mail. And if you go out of town or you're away for a few days, make sure someone collects your mail. Okay? Home security. You should have a safe, somewhere safe in your house, and a safety deposit box. Now, if you have a safe in your house, have it somewhere where it's not obvious, where someone wouldn't obviously go and look for it, and make sure you lock it. I can't tell you the number of times that people have had break-ins and then said to me, yeah, they broke into the safe too. And I'm like, okay, how did they do that? It wasn't locked. Duh. All right, so make sure that you have all of your important documents. I talk about putting those credit cards that you're not using away, put them in the safe, lock the safe. If you have passwords and pins, don't put them in a safe place also. Don't leave them somewhere where they're out. And let's talk about passwords and pins. Don't use common passwords and pins like your address or your birth date or your name with 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the most common password out there that people can hack very easily. Use uncommon things that folks don't know about you, and put symbols in there like asterisks or ampersands or pound signs where people can't get into your accounts. That's where a lot of identity theft comes in, online. All right, and so I know it's a hassle. I hate it myself, but I have a sort of system when I have to change my passwords like every 90 days or every 60 days. Have a system where you change your passwords so you can remember them, but have them somewhere secure so that if something happens and you need to get to them, or if you become incapacitated and your family needs to get to them, they can get to them. Social Security numbers. Do you know that your Social Security number is the one number that is very, very, very difficult to have replaced if it's stolen? The government will know that your identity has been stolen and will not give you a new Social Security number. So you need to protect that with your life. All right? Never carry the Social Security card. You should have that number memorized. If you haven't, then do that today. Memorize your Social Security number and never, ever, ever give that number out. A lot of credit card companies and vendors don't even ask for your Social Security number anymore because it's become such a difficult and prevalent problem, and because it's almost impossible to get a new number if your identity is stolen. Don't give it out to anyone that calls you unsolicited. Never ever on the phone give out the full Social Security number to anyone, to anyone. And if someone calls you unsolicited and asks for any of your personal information, get their name, get their number, hang up, go find the information for that company and call them back directly and verify that they are who they say they are, because many, many times they are doing something fraudulently. ATM cards. You know what? I don't even carry an ATM card because I'm so paranoid about debit cards and the whole thing with, if something goes wrong, getting my money back right away. So I don't even carry a debit card. But, if some people are very debit card savvy and use debit cards a lot. So if you use them, guard your PIN with your life, guard that card with your life, because even if the bank agrees to give you the money back, there's a time period where you're without that money. So, when you go to ATM machines, make sure that you're hiding in front of it so no one sees you get your PIN. And if you go in at night, make sure that door closes behind you so you're the only one in there. And again, still make sure that you guard yourself. They talk about the ATMs that have those little devices on it where people can steal your identity from that. So make sure when you're going to those ATM machines that the device that's on there really is the device from the vendor and not from someone else. All right. Let's talk a little bit about online theft. Social media. This drives me crazy. Stop telling folks where you are all the time. People are out there that are preying on you. Usually, a lot of times, it's not your friends. It could be, but social media is so easy to get your information. So, never ever tell folks where you are, that you're not at your house, that you're someplace else where they then can have access to your house, because people prey on you with that. All right. If you're out of town, post the pictures after you get back. People will say to me, I thought you were out of town. I never ever post anything while I'm out of town. It's always after I get back, because I don't want people to know where I am and if I'm not at home. Okay. Um, your computers, have firewall security on your computers so people can't get into it. In your house, make sure that you have motion detectors around your house. So if someone does come to your house, the lights come on, or the cameras come on, or the alarm comes on as soon as someone tries to come in. Let's talk again about home safety and home security. People are stealing people's houses, and they from right under their nose, and they don't even know it. In Cook County, on the assessor's site, they now have a fraud alert on there, because what's happening is people are fraudulently transferring the deeds to people's houses from under their nose. I actually have a case in my daughter's building where this happened, where a guy was able to transfer the asset over to himself, and now the bank can't even get him out. It's an absolute nightmare. But I'm telling you, I have this case so many times where people are fraudulently transferring the deed to their house over to themselves or to someone else, or they see that you're away and you come home and someone else is living in your house. So you want to make sure that you check the deeds on your house. I know this sounds crazy, but it happens all the time. And that no one else has done anything to the deed on your house. Okay? Craigslist. Absolutely, positively hate Craigslist. Never, ever, ever post anything on Craigslist. I can't tell you the number of times with a house that I've listed that someone has called me and said that they rented the house that I have listed for sale, because someone posted it on Craigslist. They saw the posting for it for sale, they saw the pictures, saw that it was empty, and then posted on Craigslist, and then posted on Craigslist for it to be rented. And then they usually have them wire some money to some account in Africa. I've had cases where they've actually met them at the house. And this was usually on bank foreclosures. There was a bank that used to always use the same code. And it always drove me crazy. They always used the same code on all of their properties. And so there was this group of people who figured out these codes, and they were actually having, showings at the houses. And we had my oldest daughter was a realtor with me for a while, and she had a sting operation with the police where they met the guy there and they arrested him, and they opened his trunk, and he had hundreds of these where he had collected receipts, security deposits from folks for houses that were for sale. They were bank foreclosures. So be careful what you post on the internet, because there's all kind of crazy people out there. Old computers. Always make sure you totally clean off an old computer. Places like where you can donate things like Goodwill and Salvation Army no longer take computers because they're too big of a pain for them. But if you're going to put it in the alley, all right, make sure you clean off all the information off the drive. Just reset the drive completely before you put it out for someone to take it. I put a TV out yesterday. I put it on the garbage can and then was going to walk around to put it on the ground. And by the time I got to the gate, someone had driven up, taken the TV, put it in their car. And I was like, okay, see you later. So you want to make sure that before you dispose of anything, that is cleaned off of any personal information for you. The last couple of things, credit cards. Okay, so with your credit card, on mine, I sign it and put on the back, ask for ID. And so if anyone ever takes mine, I always say to them, so you want the ID? I used to get pissed, especially if I was in a certain neighborhood and they asked for my ID. It's like, okay, why are they asking for my ID? Do I look like I'm a thief or something? But now I really do appreciate that. And I have on my credit card, and if people don't ask for it, I ask them why they don't ask for my ID. Okay. Now, for credit cards, if you go to a store and if they take your credit card, don't take your eye off that credit card from the time it leaves your hand to the time it gets back into your hand, because this happens all the time. The little girl at the teller that's making minimum wage, right? She takes your credit card. She has her cell phone. She takes the phone. She takes a picture of the front of the card. She turns it over. She takes a picture of the back of the card. And then she swipes it and then she gives it back to you. It takes all of like 10, 15 seconds. Now she has all the information on that credit card. She has not only the number, she has your name, and she has that 3-digit number on the back. Almost all vendors now have the swipe ability within their system. So if someone's asking you to take your card, be very, very suspicious. Be very, very careful when you go through the drive-through and they take your card. Watch that card from the time it leaves your hand. Watch her inside that window or him inside that window until it comes back to you. Um, Lastly, I want to talk a little bit about the elderly and the young. I have my elderly dad living with me now, and I can't tell you how many times I've had to call the state's attorney's office to help me with cases where I'm finding after the fact that people have tried to defraud him. I had a situation last week, even though he's living with me, where a relative was trying to defraud him. I couldn't believe it. She can't even come back in my house anymore. But, the elderly are preyed on all the time. As I'm going through his records, I'm finding all types of ways that he was defrauded. And I live in an area with a lot of elderly people, and I'm always telling them, where people that come to their door with things, don't do it. Don't do it. So be very, very careful. Watch your parents. Watch their accounts. See what's going on in their accounts. Make sure that you keep up with them and things that are happening around their home. And the same with your young children. Those who haven't reached of age but have a social security number are always easy prey to identity theft. And lastly, if you have home care workers that come into your home, or if you have them in a nursing home, never, ever, ever, or even if it's just a regular person and they go into the hospital, never leave their wallets or their purses or anything that has any of their information or money or anything at the hospital or in a nursing home. I have so many people that tell me all the time, yes, Sheila, they steal all the time in the nursing home. Or if you even have someone come in, make sure that the room doors are locked. Make sure that all of your information is somewhere in the safe where they can't get to it. Don't leave even like your checkbook out or anything, because people just aren't honest. I hope that you have learned something today. I know it's a lot of information. Hopefully you can just go back and look at it over and over again. But your identity is so important, and you have to make sure it stays safe. Remember to stay faithful. Remember to stay focused. Remember to stay committed. I'm Sheila Wilkinson-Sanders, and I hope you have a wonderfully financially fit day.